What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the first Swagcast of 2025. Today we have a legend of the UFC esports community. Most esports competitors now glaze him just like Dana glazes John Jones, a former champion and arguably the greatest to ever do it. Ed Parker. What's going on, Ed? How the fuck we doing?
What's good, mate? What's good, mate? What a pleasure to be part of your roster of guests. You've had Marshall on, Romero, and now all them fighters. Now
Well,
little old me kicking off your ears. So what a pleasure.
Romero's also whooped my ass, so like it was. I kind
I
of had to
I
have
did
him
see
on.
that. I did see that. Yeah.
I had to have him on, or I was scared he was gonna come back and try to do it again. That was the problem. I had to invite him because if I didn't, the odds were high that he was gonna come back and whoop my ass again. All right, so first things first. Out of all of the creators on UFC, who do you want to see IRL fight? I'm crazy, and this is something I think of often, right? So you got a massive list. You can't say Romero because Romero does fight. I'm thinking more
Yeah, I
like
was just thinking that.
the current scope of UFC creators. We're gonna get into your career as an esports competitor in a second, but I'm a crazy fucker and I think about this shit all the time.
Do you know what? Yeah, I think out of all of them, who would have like the most success? Probably Marshall. Like Marshall Mind, he's obviously trained Muay Thai and he's done BJJ as well. He's been doing that a lot recently. I think like if he'd had an amateur fight, like he'd throw some hands.
Yeah.
Especially, them Nigerian genetics will carry him far anyway.
Oh
But
yeah,
he's got that technical mind, and he's just like he's built. So
his fucking
I
legs.
think,
His legs are the size of a
mate,
fucking
yeah,
house. Like I can't
mate.
believe
I
it.
know it's them Nigerian genetics, man. He's a beast.
He's
Like you
such
just see him sitting in his chair. And it's like, damn, I wouldn't want to fuck with that guy.
No, he's such a fucking dog. All right, so with UFC 3 shutting down online servers next month, I kind of want to look back on the past a little bit. When did you first get into esports comp? What was your first event, first league, first fight? Like, do you remember any of that? I assume it was on UFC 3.
So I actually started way back in UFC 2. But I think you were around then. You've been a part of it since then, haven't you? You played UFC 2.
Yeah, I did play UFC 2. I didn't really get into the esports side of the community until like the beginning of 4, ending of 3. I didn't
Yeah.
even know there were leagues around for UFC 2.
No, there was the community was a lot smaller back then.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have what we have now, all these events with commentators and things like that. All leagues were done just through word of mouth and they were orchestrated by being in a PlayStation message group chat. And it
Huh.
was just maybe like 10, 15 people. And it's just like every week you wouldn't even there would be no commentators. It's just like, right, we're all going to be here at this time, and then we're going to stream one by one. We can all tune into each other's streams, and then we'll post the results at the end, and they do the rankings like that. So that was the group called UFC Network. Goodness me, probably about 2016, 2017, back in UFC 2.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a long time ago. And then as the years went by, UFC 3 came around. I started hearing about ESFL kind of late UFC 2 because it was an Xbox only kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when UFC 3 rolled around, they started doing it for PlayStation. So I actually headlined the first ever PlayStation card for ESFL back in really early UFC 3. And that was against the guy called Sticks 139. He was the number one ranked guy on the leaderboard when the game first came out. And
Oh.
everyone knew him back then. But
Yeah, a lot of the names from UFC 3 and those days are you really don't see them in the community anymore. And anytime you do see one come back, like we'll talk about it later, but your return to UFC 4 about a year and a half ago, people went fucking
yeah.
bonkers. You were competing in ESFL again. You were competing with the UFE, which was a big tournament league for a little bit. Shout out Shootbox. So when you really got into the scope of things in the UFC 3 comp leagues, were you just competing in ESFL or were there other leagues you were also jumping around in?
I mean, there were little leagues here and there. Yeah, I can't really remember the name of them. And there were, of course, like tournaments hosted by Bruce Lee Rob and other people like Romero would do tournaments as well. And Cody Dank, if you know Cody Dank, of course you do. 'Cause you've
Cody.
had him on, haven't you? Yeah.
Yep.
Cody Dank was big into UFC back then, so he'd host tournaments for money, but it was really all eyes on the ESFL. That was a place to be. That was a place to go. That got all the viewers. Um, but yeah, those were really the glory days of it, to be honest with you.
Well,
And it just
UFC
sort of
three
went from there.
was UFC 3 was arguably the greatest game EA's dropped, and especially
I
with
think
the
so.
scope
Mate.
of things now. Do you believe that? Do you believe UFC 3 is the greatest game EA's given us?
Um, you know what? I've thought about this quite a lot, and I think I do. I am guilty of having kind of like nostalgia bias. So that was like the first game I got really, really good at, and that's where I
Mm-hmm.
got all my viewership from on YouTube. And that was the biggest game for me. I think UFC 5, there's more tools you can do if you look at it objectively, but UFC 3, like there was no need to ban any moves. Like you look at the rule, there ESFL have rules now of stuff that you can't do, certain submissions you can't do, certain takedowns. UFC 3, it just there was no need for any of that. It felt like it was more balanced overall, although more limited with the submissions, certain animations, and the striking. But it just felt like a more robust, complete game. Everything you could do had a hard counter. Whereas UFC 5, I won't say you can exploit, but there's certain things that are just you can get for free. Like you can't deny a clinch now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there are known exploits though. Without like all of the bans, like the Darsh choke, I believe it is. The Darsh choke was very cheesy
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
little bit. Different leagues that I'm a part of were all in the conversations of, listen, we have to ban this, we have to do this, or we have to do that. And Primetime does a really good job at trying to not do too many rules for like the subs and the systems like that. There are a couple still, but they do a very good job at. And I feel like UFC 4 was where we saw the most rules from all of the leagues, because that game was just broken. But like you
yeah. I
like
didn't say that for a reason. That's not my favorite game.
game was terrible. But like you said, the nostalgia. I feel like this conversation kind of happens with older UFCs every time they're about to drop a new one, because they are shutting the UFC 3 servers down, which means we're getting a UFC 6 anytime this year. And this happened when 5 was coming out with UFC 2, which I thought UFC 2 was dog shit, and I
Yeah.
stand by that. I stand by that. But people were
That
going
was my
back
first
to
game.
it.
I'll always love
People were
that. I'll
going
always
back
love it.
to it and doing this and doing that. And I was like, bro, that game's ass. Don't fuck it. Who cares? Like, don't play that dog shit. Uh, my favorite UFC is still Undisputed 3. Despite it's not EA game, and sometimes I can go back and play it on PC just against computers and have a good time, just because the positioning was good. However, graphics are absolute dog shit. Don't hold up. THQ didn't necessarily know what they were doing either, and there are exploits in that game as well. Like, we've never really gotten a perfect MMA game to the point where like the moves, the positionings, and everything like that is so clean cut. But UFC 3 really had a lot of that, all the way to the clinch work. Uh, so jumping back to kind of like competition and stuff, have you made any money competing? What's the biggest prize you won, if so?
Oh goodness me. Well, over the years, it's definitely accumulated. But probably the biggest one, maybe in one like fell swoop, is probably about $500,
Mm-hmm.
which is quite a lot just for a couple hours out of your night playing a few games on UFC. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm not going to complain,
Yeah,
but
no,
I
and
know there's definitely a lot more to be had in future. Hopefully, if they
uh,
do any more live events.
hopefully, I was really hoping for the UFC 5 esports scene to just grow, but then the game came out
Yeah,
and we
Mm.
we all stopped playing it for the most part. Naz and Nabality
yeah,
have that
man.
game on their backs. They're the only content creators that are consistently putting out UFC content still. Romero still every now and then, but he's doing his own thing with the IRL fighting now. And even Marshall has like pulled back from a lot of UFC content because he just doesn't want to play the game. It's not It's not what
Mm.
it's not good. It's not fun to play a game that's not good. And you're losing because of exploits and bad situations and bad
Exactly.
positioning. My whole thing is the grappling in that game. I cannot stand the grappling. Especially as
And that's
somebody
coming from
that
a guy who wrestles and does BJJ. So,
yes,
you know,
that's
you're
like,
more
and as I started
than anyone.
learning more jiu-jitsu, I'm like I'll be in a situation in UFC 5 where I'm like, listen, IRL I would just like do this or I would do that, but there's no options to do that. All I can do is just push them up or go back in the half guard from full mount, which is fucking stupid. If you somebody has you mounted and you're transitioning into half guard, you're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. So moving into UFC 4 and competing there, you had said literally a couple seconds ago that that game was a different beast of bad. What kind of made you want to come back and compete in UFC 4? Because you did have a massive run with UFE and all the money tournaments and things like that, and I believe you even fought in the big Grand Prix that was like mixed across like 8 different promotions.
Yeah, they even did the UFC league, didn't they? The UFC Summer Series.
Mm-hmm.
So where the UFC actually came in and sponsored ESFL.
Yes.
So they'd stream it through their actual Twitch channel,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty cool. From just starting to play UFC games, and now you're actually on the UFC's Twitch channel is pretty sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, UFC 3. All right, that was my favorite game, I'd probably say. And UFC 4 came out, and it's like all the things that I was used to being good at. It's like, oh, okay, now it's so much like I like to play on the feet when I'm playing UFC, but it's so easy to get to the ground now. And like you were saying just before, with the state of the grappling, it just feels like from UFC 4 when they removed the clinch denial, when they changed the takedowns, it's like, all right, we're on the feet, that's good. I'm good there. But if you don't want to strike anymore, it's so easy to get on the ground and just stall. It's so easy. It's almost like it's free, especially with those the double leg bail. You can just get into a dominant double under position for free.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is wait for your opponent to throw a jab and you're in there for free. And then it's like a 50-50 guessing game. So for me, it's just like when UFC 4 came out, it's like, oh, okay, this is just the state of the game now. Everyone's just going to play like this and just take me down. It's like not having as much fun. So I sort of stepped back a little bit, stopped streaming really. I was never one to make videos anyway. I've been streaming for like 6-7 years on and off, and
Mm-hmm.
I've only ever made one tutorial video. So I'm not one to just like feel obliged to stream just because I've got like an audience. It's like if I don't want to, don't if I don't feel like playing, I won't, and that's how I like it. That's how I keep it. So I've gained like what nearly 11K subs just from that, playing when I feel like playing and not feeling obliged to stream or not uploading any videos. So, but I came back because you always have that itch. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You always have that itch. It's like, you know what? Looking at the top five in the ESFL, all right, okay, they're all kind of strikers. Maybe a couple fights I can make my way up there. And sort of the grapplers sort of stepped back a little bit. So I was like, okay, here we go. Won an ESFL belt, which was pretty cool. Had some good fights there. But yeah, this game, UFC 5, literally about 2-3 months ago, I was like, I'm completely done. I hadn't played for maybe 2 months, and it's really stand and bang ranked that brought me back. I was like, you know what? I've played for years and years and years. I've juiced the life out of this. I spent thousands of hours playing. Like, there's nothing else I'd want. Like, I have no urge to hop on anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same old crap, you know.
Yeah.
But then I said they're going to do stand and ban ranked. I'm like, okay, all right. Now this is new. This is something that intrigues me. So ever since then, um, I've literally just been grinding that and just patiently waiting for that ESFL season to come so I can go back on there. Obviously, I'll be in Canada by then. That's literally next month I'm moving, so it'll be
Mm-hmm.
nice to be on them North American servers. All the friends I've made through the years that I'd get really bad ping with, like Goat 1099 for example. Like soon he'll be my next door neighbor pretty much, so we can have like good games on there. So all the
Yeah.
matchups I lose because of the bad internet, I have no excuse anymore.
No, that would actually be amazing. Having good ping with fighters like Go and people that are in America, because a lot of the top players are American. We
Yeah.
see more UK
Not why I'm
weasel.
moving though. It's all mountain hiking and stuff, life experience, but it's just a bonus.
Oh,
Of
of
course, I'm
course.
bringing the
Yeah, yeah,
PlayStation.
yeah, and we'll talk about why you're moving and stuff in a little bit as well. But that we the explosion of UK creators and fighters have been crazy towards the end of UFC 4 and the beginning of 5. And especially new creators like Nabality and kind of like the blow up of Naz. Do you feel creators like this like do the game justice?
Absolutely. I mean, if there was no Nobility, no Naz, they're guys who've come around like recently. Naz, more so than like Nobility. Nobility is crazy. I don't know how.
I
Like
love Neb.
he was in Naz's chat when I first like spoke to him and met him. He's just such a nice guy. And then it's not till I clicked on his channel, he's got like 50K subs. I'm like, wait, what?
And you would never know.
This
Like
guy's just
I
talking to me like he's annoying. Yeah,
exactly, I play a lot of Marvel Rivals with him as of recent, and I'll have him in my
yeah,
Discord channel, like kind of in the VC hanging out. And I'm streaming on Twitch and I'm doing my thing and everybody's talking about my numbers and the Baladi's just sitting there quiet. Like, Neb, you got like
yeah.
150K on YouTube, bro. Flex on us,
Guy's
brother.
like
Flex
minor
on us.
celebrity for real. He's a minor celebrity. He got recognised at an airport.
Yes, yes.
But then again, I know some people who have got like 15, 20K subs and they're like Mr. Hollywood now and don't speak to nobody.
Yeah, and
But
and I
Navality's cool. Navality's cool. And so is Naz. Like, I've met Naz in real life. So Naz comes into my chat and everyone's like, oh my God, Naz. Or oh my God, Navality. I'm like, these are my mates.
yeah, yeah,
But I
like
still get starstruck. Like, when I see masterminds, still get starstruck.
Me too. Like I Pride too, because Prioxis was like my like main guy that brought me into the UFC. Just watching his content, and then when
Yeah,
I had the chance to speak to him, I was like, Pri, I need 5 minutes. I need 5 minutes to just
yeah,
really like let this soak in, brother. And he was like, I'm just a YouTube, and I was like, you're not just a YouTuber, bro. Like you have to understand the
yeah.
changes, like the things the impact you've had in people's lives. And Marshall's the same way. Like Marshall's the goat. When Marshall told me on when I interviewed him that I was doing the right thing and like keep going and like I'd be big one day. I was
Yeah.
like, Marshall, you're gonna make me cry, my brother. You're gonna make me cry. So with all of these massive creators and all of like the respect we have, what do you think went wrong with the community?
In what sense do you think?
The
Do you say
the
that?
I let me try to break it down a little bit more. Where
Mm.
as our community is known as a toxic community to the point where the devs won't even come out and talk to anybody. They just kind of let the game changers speak for them. Like for example, I've been trying to get a developer on the podcast for a long time. I don't really want to anymore. Maybe
Yeah,
closer to UFC 6 I'll try again, but they never wanted to talk to me just because of how the community would react. Not saying that I would be
yeah,
disrespectful towards them, but the community would be disrespectful towards them, or just the beef that we've seen with certain creators, not naming anybody. Not the comments are gonna go crazy on that one,
you're
not
angry. You
naming
don't have
anybody,
to.
but and stuff like that, and kind of everybody turning on each other, and different teams and camps kind of like trying to like have a ghost hunt or a witch hunt rather to other camps and things like that. Like the when UFC 5 came out, we really saw the community kind of explode and do like a 360 and just go into this like absolute toxic state where I do feel like it's starting to crawl back to like the positivity again, but there's still
Absolutely.
those toxic
Yeah,
moments.
yeah, absolutely. I think compared to maybe like a year and a half ago or a couple of years ago, it's way, way less toxic. Like if you were in the ESFL Discord, it was terrible. It was bad. It was just really toxic. Everyone going at the devs and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of the reason why the UFC maybe didn't come back and
Hmm.
do like a summer series for UFC 5 because, in my opinion, UFC 5 is a way more fun and enjoyable game than UFC 4 was.
Yeah.
So why would they not come back and endorse the ESFL? It's because of the community. I think the damage was done then, And there's such a stigma around UFC games. Like you see it online all the time. People who've just got the game just to try it out, they're
Hmm.
just hating on it. They don't want to give it the time. So there's such a stigma around UFC games being bad. But it's not a pick up and play game. That's one thing. Undisputed is a pick up and play game, rock'em sock'em game. UFC 3, no, any UFC game. It's like if you put the time into it and you get good, it's fun. It's like I guess it's like jujitsu. You get your ass whooped for the first 6 months, year, but when you get the skills and you're good enough to play it and keep up with other people, you can really appreciate it.
Yeah, about 2 months into jiu-jitsu, there was a brand new white belt that started, a day one grappler, and
Mm.
I was sick and tired of getting my ass beat. So I trained with him that day, and I dogged him. I dog walked him, and my professor brought me to the side and was like,
But that felt good.
listen, you can't just beat up every trial guy because you're sick and tired of getting subbed by blue belts. And I was like, no, but I'm going to. I know I shouldn't, but I'm going to, okay? Like I'm gonna get in his mount, I'm gonna make arm bars hurt, like I'm gonna crank that shit extra hard. Like I don't care that we're just training. He never coming back. He never coming back. I don't care. That
Bad
guy
sparring partner,
that
mate.
guy
You're a
did
bad
come back
sparring partner.
actually, and he is a dog now. So let's get out of UFC for a little bit, and I know you've trained a little bit in your personal life.
Yeah.
What kind of training have you done, and how long have you trained? Do you still train currently?
So I don't train anymore, like martial arts. So I'm 24 now. When I was 17, I started doing MMA.
Hmm.
You know Arnold Allen, right?
Yeah, of
So
course.
it was actually at his gym
Okay.
in England. There's a picture on my Instagram of me and him when I was like 18. But yeah, I signed up not knowing it was Arnold Allen's gym. So when he walked in, I'm like, oh my god.
He
So I started doing MMA.
I love Arnold Allen. He's obsessed with toilets. I follow him on Twitter. He's like absolutely obsessed with toilets. He'll like go into like a
Yeah,
bathroom that has a really nice toilet and he'll take a picture of it and like rate the bathroom. And he'll be like, "This is an 8 out of 10 bathroom," just because of like the toilet.
he's
And
such
every
a normal, down to earth guy. And he doesn't talk any smack to anybody, not even in interviews or social media. That he's like what in the top 10 in the UFC, like what 11-2 record, and some people don't even know he's there.
yeah,
But
exact
he's been
like
in the UFC since before Reebok.
for a long time he's been in the UFC and he's fought a lot of savages too. He's fought Max, I believe. I think one of his most recent
He
fights
did
was
fight Max,
Holloway.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
was his first loss in the UFC, and then he fought that Evloev guy and
Yeah.
lost the close fight as well.
Yeah, and every loss he's had was very close. It's not like he's ever gotten completely dog walked.
No, he's a tough bastard. And yeah, I did get to train with him a couple of times. It was really good. But it's quite surreal. But yeah, I started doing MMA at 17, on and off for a little while, and then I kind of stopped training. And then when 2020 hit and COVID came around, everything was closed. I was on furlough, so basically means I was sitting on my ass at home, getting paid a full wage and not doing much else but playing UFC. But gyms were open, so I was like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, all right. I went back to that same gym, but upstairs they've got a boxing class. So I started
Okay.
going to the boxing. Honestly, I hit it hard, like 5, 6 times a week. Two, maybe sometimes training twice a day, doing one-to-one sessions. And I did that for maybe about a year after I'd stopped MMA. And then, mate, it was great. I got into some phenomenal shape. And then the lockdowns, the restrictions got a bit tougher. So it was like, all right, okay, no classes today. But if you come here at 6 p.m., all the windows are going to be blacked out and we'll let you in. And then they sort of caught onto that. And then, like, gyms closed. I met my girlfriend. And then I never went back. Never went
Damn.
back.
Damn. So
That's where all my time went.
it's all COVID's fault. And
Yeah. I did actually go back maybe a year or so ago, actually. There's a local gym.
okay.
But because I work a lot of nights
Hmm.
and I work quite far away, so I'm not always home. So to sign up and get a membership, it's like I could have 2 months where it's fine, I can get to every session. Then I could have three where I'm just paying a membership and not being there. So my work schedule's kind of all over the place. So that's one of the reasons. But I went back maybe probably about a year and a half ago now, just to a local gym around the corner.
Hmm.
And I trained for about 6 months. Actually had an exhibition bout. Did a walkout and everything.
That's
Had like a 3 round scrap, and it was great. It's good fun. And then yeah, just stopped going shortly after that. But I should
it,
get back into it. I should.
well, especially with you moving to Canada. There's a lot of good
Yeah,
martial arts
I'm,
gyms
I'm a
in
little far
Canada.
away from TriStar, but I should find something.
You don't gotta go to TriStar. That gym's probably so absolutely expensive. That gym's probably so
Like two hundred
expensive
dollars a month,
just
and
because
the
of the
rest.
names that like go along with TriStar.
Literally.
So you actually went hella viral a couple months ago because of your Conor McGregor accent.
Oh
Uh,
goodness me! Yeah, I did. Yeah,
and people actually thought it was Connor, which is the craziest thing
I
because
had,
you were saying some shit. Like you went on like a crazy rant that Connor would say. Like it sounded, it
mm,
didn't only I sound identical to his accent, but it was identical to what he would say because he'd been on some other
yeah.
bullshit the last couple of years. Have you? I know people from the UK can do tremendous American accents, better than we can do our own accents.
I can do a pretty good one. I can do a pretty good one.
But when it comes to Conor McGregor, I can only say proper 12. Proper 12 and
Proper 12,
it don't
proper
even
12.
sound like him that much. But you actually had people believing that it was Conor McGregor. And then you even came out a couple days later and was like, "Guys, it was me. It wasn't Conor. I'm
Yeah, it was
sorry."
getting a bit out of hand. It was getting so out of hand. Like tens of thousands of likes, nearly a million views on it, and I had like a few major like MMA pages repost it and go like, oh, "This is what's been said." People saying it was AI, and I'm just sitting here like with my phone buzzing, like, "What the fuck has just happened?" Pardon my French, but it was honestly so. It was just funny looking at all the replies. Some people saying, "Wow, this is what cocaine does to you." It's like, oh, Connor's such a troll. I'm just like, it's me. I'm sat in my bedroom recording this as a troll, just because the announcement's been made that it's cancelled, and we're sat in suspense. So I thought it was a funny thing to do, and then yeah, it just went everywhere. It's hilarious.
No, this shit was hilarious, and I feel it was even funnier because there were some people from the UFC esports community that like knew damn well it was you, and even like I think I
Yeah,
quoted it and was like, "Nah, Connor's out of his mind for this one." Like we were all just like
yeah, I told
pushing
you as
it.
well. I
We,
told you as
we
well.
were all just pushing it. We were like trolling along with the troll, like, so now have you ever gotten the chance to we're gonna switch back to UFC talk a little bit. Have you ever gotten the
Yeah.
chance to work with EA at all? Has EA ever come to you? Have you ever gone to EA? Has that connection ever been made?
Um, yeah, there's certain things in the past which I can't discuss due to non-disclosure agreements, but yeah, definitely been an occasion in the past where I've worked with EA. It was a great time. In terms of like being a game changer or part of the design council, no. Um, to be fair, I've never asked for it. Of course, I'd love to. What cool thing to be able to put on your resume. But yeah, I've had a few interactions with them, with some of the developers. I actually messaged one of them like maybe a couple months ago, saying, "Hey, I'm coming to Canada. Not Vancouver, but I'm planning on visiting Vancouver. Listen, I've played UFC for quite a few years. I'd love to just come to the office and just have a tour around, see where all the mocap was done, see where
Mm.
all these games were made, meet some of the staff at EA, just to walk around. I think it'd be a cool experience." And the guy said, "You know what? I don't work with EA anymore, but I think I could make that happen. So just let me know the dates that you're going, and he'll try to set me up." So
Was it Steve Dave or Steve
no,
Dave?
it wasn't.
Oh,
Someone
it
else.
wasn't. It
It was it
wasn't.
was it was Dimitri.
Oh, okay. All right. Yep.
Yeah,
Another big name that used to work for EA. Yes.
yeah. Obviously Romero and all the game changers. I'm good friends with as well.
Yeah, I am too, and I was so upset when they all went to Vancouver and got the gis. I didn't even care about the tour and shit. I cared about the UFC
Yeah,
5 gis they gave them. Those fucking gis are
yeah.
beautiful. Those are like four
What do you
hundred
call it?
dollar
FOMO.
gis.
I got serious FOMO right there. I was like, damn, I wish I was there.
I was
Damn.
so upset. I was so upset. Like I told King Diaz in the interview with him, I was like, "I'll wrestle you for that gi," and he was like, "No." And I was like, "No. I will. You're a game changer now." I wrestle game
Yeah.
changers. I will wrestle you for that gi. That's a different swag. I don't wrestle game changers anymore unless you got no experience. Nabality, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
So if you could build the perfect UFC game, how would you do it? What would you want to see in UFC 6? Let's just call it UFC 6. What would you want to see in that game? What do you think should be pulled out? Anything should be brought back from past games? Did I lose you? This UK connection. This UK connection. Give it a second. He'll be back. He'll be back. While I wait for him to load back in, I'll tell you guys what I want to see in UFC 6. Good grappling. Good grappling. I want more than 6 takedowns. You back? All right, there we go. No.
Yo,
Oh, what's up? Okay, there we go. There we go.
I'm
All
so
right.
sorry, mate. I'm so sorry. That UK connection?
That UK connection, that's what I was saying. I was like, don't worry, he'll be back. He'll be back. That UK connection goes crazy. So we were talking about what
Right,
would you
I've had
want to
about
see?
25 seconds to think.
Yes.
So first thing, I'd make it so you can deny the clinch. I would completely get rid of the double leg bails, and then I would tweak some of the submissions. I'd make mount easier to escape. I'd add some sort of shrimp um, mechanic. I'd make the grappling more fluid, so you're never just stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are stuck there, it's sort of mechanic where it takes real skill to hold somebody there, not just get in a position and then flicking the right stick to deny it. I'd make it a really kind of dynamic, skill based mini game somehow. I couldn't tell you how I'd do it, but yeah, striking wise, I don't think I'd change anything really. I'd maybe make the block a bit stronger, maybe change some of the animations. But yeah, I think the striking's perfect. Maybe buff some of the body damage, and then yeah, that's kind of it. I'd release the game. I'd make a alter ego for every single one of Conor McGregor's fights, and yeah, to be honest, that's it. That's all I change.
You had me until the fucking. We already have too many Conor McGregors. Why do you want
No,
to keep
not enough. Pre 2018 McGregor, you can't beat it.
Like, actually, when they added Connor, was I don't know if it was 205 or when they gave him the hair. Everybody was like, "Oh,
Oh
Ed
wow,
Parker, Ed
oh
Parker's
wow.
coming back. Ed Parker's gonna be so happy."
Yeah, I did come back because Conor was the only guy I used. I used other people, but like mainly it was McGregor in UFC 3 and 4, just because I've just used him so much. I just know the range, know how to use the character.
Yeah,
So
see,
for
I was
4 years, I'd used the same model, and I just wanted a difference, wanted an update.
absolutely. See, I was always a Max Holloway main. So
He's
so
ever going to
I
fight again?
I think he will, hopefully, if they let him.
Yeah,
Depending, I think he's got one or two more good ones in him. I would like to see him in the cage again.
yeah.
I heard he's boxing Logan Paul next, or Jake Paul, or one of them. I don't think he should, but money talks to Connor, and probably will.
True. I think from now on, it's only going to be about money.
Yeah,
That guy we saw fight Aldo, fight Alvarez, who was like 27, 28 years old, on fire and hungry and dedicated to MMA. That guy is gone and he will never come back. We now have a, a cocaine fueled, money hungry guy it's just not the same guy. It really isn't.
money changed him.
It's sad, man.
Yeah, money changed him for the worst. And like a couple years ago I would argue that like that Connor's still in there, but like I don't think so anymore.
Yeah,
I think he's just lost the entire plot. And it was I blame the Floyd fight. I blame the Floyd Mayweather fight on kind
so do
of
I. So do I.
ruining his career, cuz after the Floyd fight it was just downhill from there.
Yeah, money does that to some people though. But it was it's really sad because Brian McGregor was like an idol. I looked up to that guy. Like he was so inspirational. He came from nothing, and now he's the top of the world, best fighter in the world. And then he fought Floyd, and then he fought Habib, and it all went downhill. I thought it was coming back when he fought Cerrone. Just the attitude of him and the way he fought, I was like, wow, we're gonna have a great
He's
run here.
back.
Like, imagine if he fights 3 or 4 more times this year, and then he never fought because of COVID and all this other stuff. And then he came back and fought Dustin Poirier, and I remember just watching it, being so excited. And then he came out, and after 2 minutes, I'm like, what am I watching? What's going on? And he
Even the
just
whole
got knocked
build
out,
up.
and I just like, oh, sad.
Even the entire build up for it was just like that's not the Connor we're used to. Like he was like ego. There was no ego there, and just like that's not the Connor we're used to. And it was a shit show from there. A couple more questions left, so we can get through it
Cool,
within the
man.
next couple of minutes. Now you're good. You're good.
It's good we stopped the
Um,
McGregor talk before I start crying.
no, me too. I was getting emotional talking about Connor right there. So I'll make us happy real quick. Well, maybe not happy, maybe mad. Why do we keep getting you mentioned the alter egos. Why do we keep getting alter egos and speedos? Like first John Jones, dick out, and now you got Ilya Topuria out there, ass
Yeah.
buns just shaking everywhere. Like why what do they think we want? Why do they keep doing this?
I don't know why there's a 90s theme. I think there's better things you could do. But I saw it when I opened my phone up, went on Instagram, and I saw Tapori in Speedos, and I just laughed. I thought it was really funny. I thought it was hilarious. But there's also more alter egos that I'd like. I'd like a prime Rafael dos Anjos.
Mm.
So you're putting Taporia in Speedos before you give me a prime RDA. Like, come on, give me him, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah, I've been I so at first I was asking for Uriah Faber and then we got Uriah Faber.
Yeah,
Which I think was because I got my ass beat by Romero. They felt bad and they were like, let's just give the kid what he wants. But now I
yeah.
want Tim Elliott and nobody's listening to me. No, nobody.
I think that's a good
I
shout. I
want a
think that's a good
five
shout.
star Tim Elliott. All right, because one, he
Damn.
beat Mighty
You think he
Mouse.
deserves 5 star?
He beat Demetrius Johnson. He got robbed. He got robbed
Yeah, I
against
remember that
Demetrius
being.
Johnson. He got robbed, all right? He beat that man. I don't care. Tim Elliott deserves that 5 star. um and yeah, there's so many other fighters that are deserving of alter egos that haven't gotten them yet. And even Nabality had like a really good idea to like bring in, instead of like these 90s themes, let's give Yuri a warrior like a warrior theme,
Yeah,
or give
since we're
Potan
making
like
them up, since they're mythical,
yeah,
since these
exactly.
guys were like 5 years old in the 90s, since we're making it up, yeah,
Ex-
let's do
I
it.
exactly. Like you don't gotta throw geese and a single boxing glove on. That shit's so stupid. Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali don't got boxing gloves,
Yeah,
but
Mike
Max does.
Tyson's got MMA gloves. Yeah,
Yeah. Ugh. So you mentioned Undisputed earlier. Do have you ever been heavily into the boxing games, or was it always just the UFC for you?
I played Fight Night as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
growing up, just with my dad offline. The ones where you'd have to be your own cut man. That
Yeah.
was good. Then I went back onto Fight Night Champion like years after the game, just because I heard it was good. Had quite a bit of fun on that, just offline on career mode. And then yeah, Undisputed since then. I played it for a couple of weeks when it came out, and then I was just like, nah, I had
Yeah.
no interest to go back on it.
When they added Jake
We were just, I feel
Paul,
like we relied to.
yeah, I took a break off Undisputed, then they added Jake Paul, and then I overdid it for like a week. I would just go on and only fight with Jake Paul. I wouldn't touch anybody else, just Jake Paul. And I was dog walking people at first with Jake, but then that's another game. Like you said, it's just rock and sock and robots at this point.
Yeah.
So
If you're
before,
like, if you got the friends around, right, for a fight, or the UFC's on, and you got a bunch of friends around, you want to pass the controller around and play each other for fun on the couch, it's a perfect game. It's a brilliant game. I'd recommend you get that instead of UFC.
yes,
But the way they were promoting it, it's like a boxing simulator. You're just lying. Like
Yeah,
you played that the first week and went into heavyweight and played all the wildest. Just like you just lied, and then you came out and said, "Oh,
well, yeah, this is everything he's saying is very true. Everything he's saying is very true. We're gonna close out in a second. I always want to call y'all chat. Uh, it's that UK connection. There's really not much I can do about the UK connection. That Canadian connection gonna hit different though. I'm sure of it. My Wi-Fi probably doesn't help either. You know, we got that Philadelphia speed now. It's like cream cheese. It's just, I don't even know what I meant by that. Hold on, I think he's back. Ah, there he is. All right, he's
can
back.
you hear me?"
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happened. I'm in the same spot. I haven't moved.
No, you're
It
fine.
seems
You're
like
fine.
it's starting to cut out. My bad, bro. My bad.
Nah, you're good. You're good. And real quick, yeah, I remember when Undisputed first dropped they dropped the early beta on PC, and all of us were playing it, and we were like, this better not be the game they dropped. And then they fixed it a little bit 2 years later, and dropped it on console, and it's literally kind of very similar. Uh, so real quick before we do close out, if you want to give a little backstory of why you're moving to Canada, the life experiences you look to have in Canada, and leaving the UK behind, and then get out of here.
Man, all right. Where do I start? So I'm 24. So is my girlfriend. We have no major life responsibilities. We don't pay rent. We don't have any kids. We don't have any pets. Um, about a year ago, we were planning just to save up and buy a house. And then one of my mates went out to Canada on this visa. And I was like, man, if he can do it, I can do it. So we had the discussion and we were like, you know what? Now's the time to do something big and stupid. So why not? We applied for our visas and then, yeah, we're just literally a month away now from going. So we're going to Calgary, which is in Alberta, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho are from Calgary. Well, I actually don't think Chris Jericho is actually from Calgary. Ah, fuck, he fucking closed that again. All right, I'm gonna close this episode out with or without Ed. Make sure y'all go follow Ed's YouTube. He do be still doing YouTube content on occasion. Make sure you go follow him on Twitter. Oh, he's back. There we
yeah,
go.
I'm
There we go.
so sorry, man. So
Nah,
sorry. Next episode 2, I'll be in my house. I'll have an
you're
Ethernet cable connected to my phone.
you're
I'll have
good.
also have Canadian internet. I'll have Canada internet, which is gonna be different.
That's what I was saying. I said that Canadian connection is gonna be much better. Uh,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna let you get out of here. Ed, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for having a beautiful conversation with me. If you want to shout out your socials real fast, now's the time to do so.
Just Ed Parker 02 on everything. Swaggy, I want to thank you, mate. I know you're a busy guy. You've just moved down to a new town. You're busy, got all these things going on. So I appreciate you taking the time, mate. It's been a long time coming. I wish you all the best in Philly. If I ever come, we're gonna share a cheesesteak and a beer together, mate.
Oh, 100%. More than one beer.
And
Ed,
I'm
thank you so
sorry
much.
about all the technical difficulties as well, man. Sorry
It's
about that.
it's been perfect. Don't even worry about it. It was a great conversation. I'm so glad we finally got to do this. And hopefully we get to do it again. You
Yeah,
know, safe travels to Canada. And I'm excited to see that those fights when you're on Better Ping.
absolutely. If I don't get eaten by a bear, we'll do episode 2 for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, don't get eaten by a
No
bear.
worries.
All right, and that was this episode. Everybody, thank you so much for showing all of the love that you do to the Swagcast. We will see y'all every single Wednesday. Peace.